If you want to be a model, try it out. They need you. Artists need you, and they're so nice. They might draw your ass a bit fatter than you think it is, but they're really, really nice people.
If you've wanted yet feared to do work that is weird, this is the show you just need to hear.
We all have that dream. You know the one. You're in a room full of people, and you're all alone, on stage. Oh yeah, and you're completely naked. For some, a nude body is taboo. But for painters, sculptors, and sketch artists alike, the nude body has always been a constant source of both training and inspiration. And our guest today, Ruby Magic, has worked with artists from around the world as their muse. She tells us what it's really like to pose nude in a room full of strangers, and how her work has helped her feel more empowered in her own skin. I'm Sam Balter, and this is Weird Work.
Now let's listen to them speak about their jobs, which are quite unique. Weird Work.
All right, you got all pages of notes ready?
They're like, none of them are what we're going to talk about. So I'm just going to throw this notebook. Right. Hold on. Let me get rid of this. Here it goes.
Yeah.
Behind the
all
back.
Right. Fuck the notebook. Let's get it out of here.
Fuck the notebook.
Fuck the notebook. We're just going to talk. Okay.
Okay.
So let's start with an easy question. Where are you right now?
So I'm currently in Brooklyn, New York, and Williamsburg.
And where were you before New York?
So before I was in New York, I was in Florence, Italy.
Oh, nice. What were you doing there?
I was actually collaborating with 4 sculptors at a really prestigious art school called Florence Academy of Art.
Yeah.
And I was working with their advanced sculptor students. So they asked me to pose for their 10-week final project. So I was posing for them. And it
for the last 10 weeks?
From April until mid-June. So it was the longest 10 weeks of my life. I'm actually still trying to pay off my debt to my psychologist because it was mentally damaging.
And is it?
No. It was great. It was a really good time.
So I guess just take me back a little bit. Like, where did you grow up?
So originally, I was raised in Southern California.
Okay.
I was raised by my mother. She is the strongest and the bravest woman that I know so well and love tremendously. She was very young when she had my sister and I. And my grandmother, she also helped raise us until she died when I was 14. And I think what it was, my mother, because she was so young and she had me and my sister and she was, a single mother.
Yeah.
I think she saw something in me that a lot of people see in me as well, that I'm only just discovered myself. But I think she definitely wanted me and my sister, of course, to have a life that she couldn't have because she started off so young.
Yeah.
And when I was 16, I went on a high school trip to England. And when I remember when I first arrived, you know how you call your mom and say,
I'm here.
Hey,
I got off the plane.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. So I think it was like the second day. I didn't call her the first day, but the second day.
My mom would have been pissed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think yeah, she was a little bit mad. But I don't remember that. But the one thing I do remember from that phone call was me on the payphone back in those days, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here. She said, oh, really? Okay. Well, I thought you made it. I didn't hear from you. I was like, yeah. She's like, so do you like it? I was like, yeah. She's like, do you want to stay? I went, yeah.
And this is only like a day. You've been there like one day.
And
how old are you?
I was 16.
Okay, so you're 16. This is your first trip abroad, and you're like, I'm ready to just
Yeah,
lock
and you
it
should have
down.
seen my passport photo as well. I remember it was like I lost it, which is a shame. But my passport photo, I'm just like this young 16-year-old, like so smiley, and it was like a 20-year one.
Yeah.
So when I went back home at 16, all I can talk about was England, 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 England. I want to go to England. So my mother pushed that for me. And she said, all right, this girl wants to go away. So I found a university and I left school. I left home at 18 and I moved to England and I went to school there. I went to university there. And here's me with this passport, with this 16-year-old looking photo of me cheesing and, traveling around Europe with it. The laughs that I got at the border and, border check,
Yeah.
laughing at my passport. Like, look at her photo. I was so excited to just be away and go and find what I was searching for.
And when you went to college, what did you study?
I was studying ballet, and what happened was I remember I was in the classroom and I was thinking, this is so fucking slow. Why am I doing this? Like everyone's
Like the
moving.
movements or like
Yeah, the movement. I'm saying I'm living in a fast-paced city and I'm standing in a studio and I'm doing this slow body movement ballet. I'm like, God, this is so boring. Like I can't do this.
one thing I
It-
just want to say that I think is so funny to me is that you're
Mhm.
like, I tried to do ballet and it was so slow and I
Yeah.
just couldn't stand it. And then you're like a model where you're sitting still later on in life. Like that's
Yeah,
it.
well, I know, but you know what?
Like
To
maybe
be
you got all the energy out like in all the like partying later and then like now you're like, yeah, I could just chill for like 3 hours or so at a time.
But to be honest, the ballet, the dance really, because I always thought I wanted to be a ballerina. I always wanted to go to New York. That was my dream. But I knew I didn't have the technique because I started too late.
Oh,
So
okay.
London became an opportunity. But if I fast forward to now, to when I first started modeling when I was 26, so having the dance background actually has really helped with me as an artist model because that can allow me to move fluidly and create shapes and forms for the artist to draw from and to create on the canvas. And this is something that I look back and I go, okay, you like the stars, aligning.
It helped like prepare you for that kind of?
It really
Yeah.
has. And sometimes I would come off the platform from coming out of a pose and someone would say, are you a dancer? Have you danced? And I'm like, no, I'm not a dancer, but I have a dancing background.
So I guess, okay, so you're 26.
Mm-hmm.
Take me back to that first modeling session. How did it get started?
Ah, I was 26. I was in Oxford and I was lost, as we all are at 26.
Yep, still lost today.
Still lost, yeah. And I was starting up my second degree and I needed to, make some more cash. And I
Yeah.
went on to this online site, which is similar to Craigslist. In England, it's called Gumtree. And I
Okay.
saw an advert in the community section and it said model require. And I thought, this is me at 26. Well, a lot of people, they all thought, I could be a model. So let me click on this ad.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I
You're
clicked on
lost,
it and
confused on the internet. You're going to click on stuff.
yeah. I didn't know what it was. I just saw the word model and I was just like, okay. So this is how naive I was. I, I looked at it, opened it. It just said, I need a model. If you're available, please send me a photo and some information about yourself. So I wrote and I replied. And it turned out to be a painter named Francis O'Neill. And we tried to meet a few times and we couldn't meet. And I was sitting at my friend's house and my friend says, I need someone to help me at an art event.
Okay.
And she gave me the leaflet and I looked at it, opened it. And she said, this is what the program is. And I saw Francis O'Neill written in there. I said, okay, yes, I'll definitely do it. Not just because Francis O'Neill is there, but actually, I think this will be cool to help you and get paid. Yeah, great. Thanks, friend. So I went to this event. I'm helping in the kitchen. I prepare his lunch, and I told the people, I said, if you see this guy, I'm going to give him this sandwich. I don't know what he looks like either. And then lunch came, he didn't show up. And then I was like, oh no, this guy, Francis O'Neill, and I didn't get to meet him. So I think he came in like just before we were about to finish the cafeteria, we were about to close it. And I said, you're Francis O'Neill. And he looks at me, he's like, yeah, like, who are you? And I said, I'm Ruby. I'm the girl that you wanted to meet. And I'm the one who was the model. Me, that's me. And he's like, oh, yeah, right. Hey, do you still want to do that? And I was like, yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely. I just
And
happened to be at this event.
yes, exactly. And he said, cool, like let's make it happen. And I think it was late 2011. I went to his studio and he painted me a portrait. And that was my first painting. And what happened was I was so enthusiastic. I really enjoyed it. Um, I came up to him just before we finished. And I said, listen, um, I can do nude if you want, because while I'm in his studio, there are other work on his in his walls, and I can see
Yeah.
this nude. And this is still, I don't know anything about this world yet. And I said, I can pose nude if you want. And he looks at me, he goes, really? Because I normally don't ask models if they've never done it. I said, yes, yes, I'll do it. He said, great. If you're happy to do it, then we can start a painting. And then we started our second painting. So January, we finished that painting, and Francis looks at me again with his, his smile and his floppy hair and his
Yeah.
Manchester Northern English accent. And he's like, would you like to pose for my students? And I was like, okay, no, my okay wasn't as enthusiastic, but
So this is where you hit your first like
yeah,
shyness wall potentially, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah,
Okay. So you
yeah.
were fine to roll up on this like Craigslist equivalent ad and
Hmm.
then hunt that guy down at a party, model
Yeah.
for him, do a nude model, and then he's like, "Are you ready for class?" And you're like, "Ooh."
I was like, yeah, when you shake your head, like, yes, but you're like, should I be doing this
Yeah,
or
I'm
not?
saying yes, but everything in my body is
Yeah.
indicating no.
And now that you said yes, you're like, oh my God, did I make the right decision? What am I getting into? So that happened. And it was in March, and it was outside of Oxford. Again, this is all in England.
Yeah.
So we're on the bus going to this other small, quaint English village, and he's there with his kit and everything. It's kind of like he's sneering at me, like, ha 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 ha. You think you can do this, huh?
Yeah,
And I'm
okay,
sitting
so this
there
is
on the.
like he
I'm,
knows this is gonna be a lot harder.
well, I think it was my first. It
Oh,
was definitely my first class, and I'm sitting there on the bus in anticipation. I have no idea what I'm getting into. And we drive up and we get out the bus, and he's like, okay, this is it. And it was this beautiful converted barn house on the river. It was so nice. And we go up the stairs, and I can hear the people. I can smell the brew of coffee and the music and the warmth. It was warm. And once we got to the top of the stairs, we arrived. I remember looking up, and the room was an open space, easels out, comfortable chairs, pillow throws, pictures, paintings all over the wall. And all the people were an older generation. They were older people. They were probably from their 50s and up. And I
okay.
thought, oh my God, this is going to be so easy. This is great. Wow. I was just like, it was like this big just release came out of
So
me.
if okay, so let's pull it back. If you had walked up those stairs and everybody was like in their like mid-20s, would you have been like, "Fuck this"?
Yeah, I would have been nervous, and this has happened to me before, but I felt easy and relaxed, and it was easy. It was like, this is like being with my grandma, when I was a kid.
So that's what it is. Like you're just more comfortable with like being nude modeling for people in front of an older group than a younger group.
That was how I felt at the time. And I remember when I had the time to walk around and look at their work during my stretch break, coming out with a pose, I was looking at their work, and when I saw like they were drawing me, so I'm a black descent, woman, and they
Yeah.
were drawing my nipples big and my breasts sort of saggy and my lips fuller and very afro sort of look than I actually am. And just seeing that made me go, okay, I think I want to do this a lot more. This is very interesting.
What did you find so interesting about that?
I just saw psychology and human behavior and what we see. It's amazing how our eyes can tell our mind and what our mind tells our eyes to see, and putting it down, whether you're writing it or drawing it, or
Yeah.
sometimes in artist work there could be some sort of personality from the artist into the painting, into the figure, into the subject. And sometimes they have trouble, a white person painting a black person, because they realize the color, it's not black, it's not white, there's different colors, the shapes are different, the
Yeah.
brow, the high, the breast, the bone structure, even female and male, it's all different the way you perceive it as.
Were you at all like offended by that? Because I feel like from me, like I'm a very Jewish looking guy. And if I
Hmm.
like modeled and somebody gave me like a ridiculously long nose, you know what I mean? And like beady eyes and like super curly hair, I'd be like, what the fuck? You know? Like, but you seem to be generally looking at it as like, oh, this is a good reason to model. I'm very interested.
Sam, I'm going to be very, very, very and completely open and honest with you,
Yeah.
because I think it's the best way to be. Of course, I was upset.
Yeah, I would be, because you like the way you said it,
I
you were like, oh yeah. And then I was like, how interesting this is. And I would have
I
been like, what the fuck,
I
guys?
was so upset. I was just like, that is not how I look. And I said it's probably for in the first 2.5 years, 3 years of me posing for artists. I was like, oh my God, why does my belly stick out like that? That is not right. Teacher, hello.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about just sort of the mental game of modeling.
Hmm.
I'm curious about the long poses, like the 3 hour ones.
Yes.
Like when I take the bus, right? And like my phone dies and I'm like alone with my thoughts.
Hmm.
There's a moment of panic, right?
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh my God, like I don't have anything to distract me. I guess I'm going to look at the people around me. Now I should look out. Like, what if I
Yeah.
start becoming introspective and
Yeah.
thinking about my life? And I actively try and avoid that.
Yes.
You're going in and you're sitting there for like 3 hours totally alone with your thoughts. What are you thinking about?
When I first started modeling, yes, it was scary. So what did I do? I didn't go there. I went elsewhere. I either was dreaming, fantasizing, creating a new world in my mind, as I did as a child growing up when I was young, or just listening to what's going on around me and watching the people and thinking, oh, I wonder how that person lives, or what the hell is that person wearing, or oh my God, I can see that guy's butt crack when he's just bent down, or just listening to the art and structure, which is quite fun, and trying to critique the artist's work. And those things are really fun, because when you're afraid of being in yourself, in your own mind, and dealing with your own issues, from my experience, you tend to drift elsewhere and you want to push your life into the lives of others. And if you're going to do that, not why not do it with artists? They are great people to be around, and their world is just full of chaos and excitement and inspiration, and they don't care, they're just free and loving and giving and nurturing to the soul.
I was reading one of these, I think it was an article in the BBC, and you talk a little bit about being a muse for the artist.
Hmm.
In popular culture, it seems like there's a lot of focus on like from the artist perspective, like the muse is like inspiring the artist to create things. But Like, how do you see yourself as a muse and the role of a muse?
My grandmother was very stern on presence and being a woman who is elegant and have manners and who is has sense and knowledge, and so I think that stayed in my heart. My grandmother is here in my heart, so when I walk in, I try and keep that presence, and I can see it now, but I didn't see it then. And that inspired me to come up with amazing poses and look at other artists' work like Batiste or Rodin. Rodin, he loved sculpting from a woman because the torso was so flexible.
Yeah.
So I applied that to my thinking when I'm putting myself in a pose, that I exaggerate my torso and move my curves and be proud of that and do a twist and twist my body to an extent that I can hold and let that reveal and let that crystallize in front of the artist for them to try and solve a problem and put that into their work, into their canvas.
Like, your grandmother seems like she has a larger than life personality in some ways. And
Yes.
so I wonder, like, when you go in, do you feel like you're projecting a version of yourself, or do you feel like you're being just the most authentic version you can be?
Looking at the artist, I can give you a very quick example. Not too long ago, I was posing, keeping still, and the art instructor approached the student and looked at their painting and said, "Okay, this color we need to change the background. It doesn't work for this, with Ruby here." And the student goes, "Yeah, but I saw this painting and it had this color here in that corner, and it had," and as he's explaining it to the teacher, I'm looking at the student, and their face was just lit up and just so vulnerable and so childlike and so like happy and gleaming
Yeah.
and glowing and explaining this art piece that they saw and that they want to do it like that. And the teacher turns to the student and says, "Okay, but that's not your painting. That's someone else's painting. This is your painting."
Hmm.
And to see that student's face turn, just age within seconds from this child to this old person, and it was like watching this joy lit up and just deflate. And I just almost brought me into tears to watch. It was like so excited, but then, oh, and the teacher was right. It wasn't their painting, and that's another person's painting. You have to do it the way that is you, that represents you, and that works with the subject that you're working from. So it made me look at how vulnerable the artists are,
Hmm.
and how much of their passion, how much of their heart, how much of their soul, how much of their dreams they expose and they put out into the studio, into the space next to their peers, next to the world, and in the public to see. And I think it works from my experience. It's the same for me. It is scary to be vulnerable in front of people that I don't know, because it's frightening. I
Yeah.
don't want them to see who I really am. I don't want them to know that I'm sad and lonely inside. But am I sad and lonely inside? Am I Ruby? I never really had the chance to ask myself until recently. And I wouldn't have been able to find that peace if I wasn't surrounded by the artists who have inspired me to be at peace with myself. And I think now I am able to just be more authentic. Now I'm okay to see paintings that really I would think to myself, "Oh, it doesn't look like me, but it's great. It has the characteristics."
Hmm.
I'm okay to keep quiet about it. I'm okay to just sit and just take in, and also give out when I need to give out. It's hard. It is really hard because models are, from my experience, you are very, very vulnerable, and you're not only nude, but you can be taken advantage of. But it's the same for artists.
Yeah.
It's a room full of vulnerable people who come in with their dreams completely shattered once they leave the studio, because something may have not worked or it didn't work out the way they visioned it.
Yes.
And for me, I'm nude, or, my back hurts, or, the artist was rude to me because they didn't understand I was freezing for 15 minutes. When I asked for a heater, they made a noise. There's so
Yeah.
much that happens. Uh,
Is there a piece that you've posed for that sort of sticks out in your mind? It just blows you away as like, wow, this is an incredible piece.
there's a few, but recently there was a portrait by a painter named Jordan Soko. I just finished 3 months, which was my longest. 3 months. Um,
Jesus.
portrait. Well, if you look at the painting, you'll probably say,
It's worth the 3
Jesus.
months.
Yeah. It was very long, and it was my first time I've experienced posing in such a long period of time, but such a quiet and very peaceful state.
What does this painting look like? How would you describe it?
Oh my God. So I read a comment. I saw it I didn't know it was posted on Instagram, and someone said, "There's a painting of you. It's amazing." On Jordan Soko. So I was like, really? I was like, oh shit, okay. So I went and I had a look, and someone wrote, "It's almost as if she's crying."
What pose are you in? Are you
And
sitting? Are you laying down?
I'm sitting. I'm sitting in a chair. And I was so detached from it at the time because I was so in my own headspace. And I
Yeah.
think that helped maybe because that was probably what he was looking for. But I think it really captures this real Ruby, the little girl that's inside of me. And when I see that painting, I see that little girl. I see that girl that needed to be loved.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is gonna make me cry.
Yeah. If people are thinking about getting into modeling for artists, what kind of advice do you have for them?
I'm not gonna lie, even today, even this present day, there are some times I have sat still nude and I ask myself, Ruby, what the hell are you doing standing here nude in front of complete strangers? Put your goddamn clothes back on and march out of this room right now. What are you doing? But go for it.
Just go all in. Just go
Yeah.
all in.
I've heard models who do it because they want to get confidence, or they want to experience it because they're an artist. So they want to see what it's like to be a
Yeah.
model. There's so many reasons why. For me, I had no reason. I was coming into this world blindfolded. And it was a way of me finding a belonging, and I found it, which it was already there. It was there with me, and I couldn't have found that without the artist. So never say no. Just go for it. If you want to be a model, try it out. They need you. Artists need you, and they're so nice. They might draw your ass a bit fatter than you think it is, but they're really, really nice people.
They That's the biggest. That's my number one concern.
Yeah, yeah. They
Is
might
that
make
my
you
ass
look
is appropriately portioned in pictures.
them. You might be a good model.
Oh
You might
God,
be
I don't know. In college, I did model for my friend's senior thesis project. But like to your point, like I did not like the picture that came out of it. And it was like the first time, and I was like, what the fuck? Like my face looked all
You're
scrunched
like,
up.
no,
Yeah, I
no,
was like,
this
I
is
sat
not.
for fucking weeks, and at the end of it, like I look like a scrunched up face, like
Oh, like a
pensive.
Lucian Freud sort of,
Yeah,
like
like
how
I
he
know.
did Kate Moss or something like that. It
Yeah,
was like,
no, I was like, I was hoping I was gonna get like the thinker level pose. I was gonna look cool. It didn't pan out that way at all.
oh, you
Uh,
gave up too soon. See, that's the thing. Models don't. New models coming in, don't give up. It just takes time. I'm so lucky I didn't give up that day when I walked up those stairs and saw that, and took the shot. So I think Sam, I want you to go back and try modeling again. Pose for your wife.
all right.
Get her to draw you, someone to
She's
paint you.
all right. So you're saying I've already done the check. I should jump into nude and just
Yeah.
fucking go for it.
Yeah. Try it again.
All right.
Try it.
All
Because you
right.
never know what you can find.
I'm sending you the portrait when it's done, though. Whenever it happens, it's coming
The
your
nude
way.
one, the bushy man with
The bushy man with the huge nose, giant fucking curly hair. Yeah, I'll send over that one and be like, look what you made me do. Here it is.
Yep, I'll take the blame and I'll post it on my Instagram and all this.
That'll be great. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your
I just want
story.
to say thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, this was so fun. Hey, it's me. We really love hearing from you guys, and I wanted to share a piece of listener mail that really hit us right in the feels. After hearing our extended episode with the Bachelor's Wells Adams, Kai said, I love the new podcast episode length. I love the longer episode. I love you. Hey, Kai, thanks. We love you too. Here's another one from the Dude 009. Does the host actually talk that way? Dude sounds like he's holding his nose the whole time. No. This is what it sounds like when I hold my nose. Sorry, that's my voice. Okay, let's end it on a positive note. Tucson Dawn writes, these episodes have been a hoot, and I feel creatively inspired to consider wild possibilities for side gigs. You know what? You're right, Tucson Dawn. It's all got to start somewhere. We always love hearing from you guys, so let us know what you think. And if you have a weird job, email us at hello@weirdworkpodcast.com. Today's episode was written, produced, directed, edited, and mixed by Matt Brown. We'd like to thank Valentine April and the Art Students League of New York for their help with this episode. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Weird Work. As always, I'm your host, Sam Balter, and thanks for listening.